everyone. I must admit this feels really strange. Normally when I have a cooking class I've got a room full of people. In any case, I'm hoping it's working. I'm not seeing anything on my laptop, so let me know if it's not. Well, you're not going to know if it's not, are you? I'm just doing a... Yes, it seems to be working. Okay, that's a good thing. So, sorry, I got distracted. I've got a laptop to the side, so if any of you have any questions during this live session, please feel free to type them in and ask them, and I will look at my laptop on occasion and actually sort of communicate with you guys. Okay, so I put this online as a cooking class that will help your immunity. So one of the big things that I really believe is that you are what you eat. Well, it's not just my belief system. I think it's proven by a lot of modern science out there. If you put the right things in your body, you really can help overcome a lot of health issues. It helps you lose weight. It helps your sleep patterns. And as the lesson progresses, or as the cooking class progresses, I'll talk more through the logistics of these. But I'm sure the big thing that any of you that are joining us today would actually like to know is exactly what we're cooking. So we are doing, oh yes, that reminds me, I need to take my sausages out of the fridge. I wasn't quite expecting to do this live because I did this a few days ago, and yesterday my camera and my laptop just didn't want to talk to each other, so we had a bit of an editing meltdown last night, and I can tell you it probably wasn't the only thing that melted. I was a little annoyed. But as a result, I'm actually doing this whole thing as a live. We are doing a bangers and mash with a mustard sauce. The mash is going to be a sweet potato mash. I will go into the reasons why I'm using sweet potatoes. And I'm also really fortunate that I've got kind of the last of my winter harvest. So it's going to be joined with, I'm doing a mixture of broccoli from my garden, actually some leaves from the broccoli plant, a little bit of sort of reddish cabbage and some kale, which I'm going to just finely chop, and that's going to be stir-fried. Now, I'm sorry, my sausages look a little meager, but it's unfortunately all I had in my deep freeze last night, having not expected it. So, what do we need for this? Sausages. You can pretty well use any sausages. I had some people ask me, can I use Maguire's because they don't eat pork? Yes, you can use Maguire's sausages if you want. You can use corn sausages, you can use vegetarian sausages. These are chipolatas, and actually when I did this originally, I used Toulouse sausages. So pretty well anything you can get your hands on, and let's be honest, at the moment, it's a bit of a case of beggars can't be choosers. There's not always everything that we're looking for. So as many sausages as you'd like, depending on the size of your family. We need some creme fraiche. I will put the quantities for about 4 people down in a recipe after this as well for people. But if you're cooking for 4, you would need about, I would say, 3 to 4, some nice big dollops of creme fraiche. About a tablespoon, if not 2 tablespoons of mustard. I'm using a little onion. Obviously, if you're cooking for a few more people, you need a slightly larger onion. We're going to use some garlic, and we'll use that in our stir-fried green veg as well. Some sweet potatoes, which I am going to put into the oven instead of boiling them, purely because I quite like the fact that the sort of, when you put them in the oven, it sort of helps bring the residual sugars out, and it tastes really, really yummy. Some salt. I've got some dried chili here, which I'm going to put in my sweet potato as well, just to make it a little bit more interesting. And some white wine, which is going to go into our sauce. So I've kind of, for expediency's sake, I've kind of got all my equipment around you. Obviously, you guys are in your kitchens and you don't have everybody watching you. So you can be a little more untidy than I can. So the first thing we're going to do is actually start off with peeling our sweet potatoes and getting those in the oven. I would say that if you haven't done it already, turn your oven on to about 180 degrees. And you'll need a baking tray or a oven roasting tray to do your potatoes in. And I'm just going to move a few things out of the way. Okay, and good morning. I've got a few people that have joined us. It's Patricia, Anna Hi, Sandra from Borgweigen, and Tina Lyle from, I think she's in Leeds at the moment, even though she spends a lot of her time here. Okay, so every now and then you can hear a bit of banging and crashing. So why am I using sweet potato instead of actual potatoes? I mean, it all can get quite scientific, but the biggest reason why is I generally avoid a lot of refined carbohydrates in my diet, mainly because I started it about 2-3 years ago when I was trying to lose weight, and suddenly realized that I sort of started hitting, despite having been skinny my whole life, had started hitting that sort of midlife spread. And so I went on what essentially I suppose a lot of people know as a keto diet. I don't follow it strictly any longer, but since then since doing my nutrition diploma, I've realized that not all starches are equal, basically. Refined carbohydrates, unfortunately, don't give you much in the way of nutrition. When you eat them, they convert into sugars. And especially at a time of stress like this, they tend to, sugar is just not great for you. It's not good for the gut. It sort of encourages your bad gut bacteria to grow, which can have other long-term health, sort of negativities to your health. Why is it important keeping our gut healthy? For all types of reasons. But at the moment, one of the main reasons is it really helps boost your immunity. But it also helps with your mental health. There's now more and more evidence that there are these links between the gut and the brain. About 60% of your serotonin, which is your feel-good hormone, is actually produced in the gut. And that is influenced by the food we eat, and unfortunately refined carbohydrates and sugar are just not good for it. And let's be honest, at the moment all of us need those feel-good hormones as much as we ever have. And I know, it's hard because people are going to go, oh, I've got so many other changes going on in my life. Why would I want to change the way I eat at the moment? Do you know, I think in a weird way, because we've got so many changes going on, you might as well just climb on that change bandwagon and make some changes that are actually your own choice. A lot of the things that we're going through at the moment, we have no choice over. But the one thing that we do have a lot of choice about is what we eat, and our general health, and making ourselves feel better, and eating in such a way that we can sleep better, and that we don't push our heart rate up, and we don't get heart palpitations as a result that we've just had a bit of a sugar binge. So I'm going to cut these into fairly, not massive pieces, because I don't want them to take too long to cook, and I need them nice and soft to be able to mash them afterwards. Just cutting the ends off, and those will go into my compost, because another one of the things that I've taken on in the last few weeks is I've always done a bit of vegetable gardening, as you can see with my green leafy veg that came out of the garden. But I, like everybody else, I have absolutely no idea where we're going to be financially in the next few months, or even, how much is going to be available in the shops. So I'm going to try and give myself as much choice as possible, and make sure that my garden is full of yummy goodness. Okay, so we're just going to put a little bit of olive oil on those, and while I put those in the oven, I'm going to put my sausages in the oven at the same time. It's one less thing to cook. So just get a little bit of oil of those as well. get those in. So that's going to take about half an hour. The sausages won't take as long, so I'll keep an eye out on those. And I'll just get my hands washed. But you guys, like me at the moment, I'm washing my hands so many times during the day that I feel like I've got real old lady hands. They're constantly dry. And it's so, yeah. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my veggies chopped up and my onion. So make sure that you've got a sharp knife. I always find that onions are probably one of the most dangerous things in the kitchen because they tend to be quite slippery. And if you don't have a sharp knife, they can slip away from you and you suddenly find that you've taken the tip of the finger off. And also, when you're cutting them, try and sort of create almost a claw of your hand and sort of cut down so you don't have little fingertips that can get in the way. It takes a little bit of practice. I'm not brilliant at it. I once saw Julia Child literally determined to beat all her male cooking counterparts. Went and, sorry, my brain's not working at the same time. Cut onions ad infinitum until she could whiz them out incredibly quickly. Okay, we'll just leave those on the side. Ready to go into the frying pan in a second. Now I need a couple of cloves of garlic. I'm going to put one into the green leafy veg. Now garlic again is, garlic and onion is a great vegetable for boosting your immune system. So be enthusiastic with how much garlic you put into stuff. And let's be honest, apart from it being good for you, it's just flippin' yummy. And make sure that you do it for everybody in your household so that you're not the only one that's left with the garlic breath. Great thing about garlic is if you eat it in a group, nobody smells each other. So I would say it's a social activity. Something that we're not getting a lot of at the moment, are we? Why is it that when you do something live, it doesn't come off as easily? So I don't know, are you guys like me and been having some really, really weird dreams at the moment? I've had complete disaster movie dreams for the last week, I must admit. I feel like I'm playing a leading role in a movie like Contagion. But last night it was weirder than normal. I went skiing with Brad Pitt. I have no idea why, because I've never skied in my life, and I'm not really a great fan of Brad Pitt. But in any case, it was better than a Contagion movie. So I kind of went with it. Well, my husband's filming, maybe he won't be too impressed. I meant to say, well, I had this fantastic dream about my husband last night. I don't mind the flavour of garlic in my food, and I don't even mind coming across the odd sort of biggish piece. So I tend not to cut my garlic very fine, but if you prefer yours finer, then put it through a garlic press. You don't have to cut it, or you can add one of your microblades and you can microblade it fine. Whatever, I think they're called microblades. I always forget these sort of really, really sharp little graters. Okay, let me just put that in a couple of bowls ready to go. And of course it's gone all over the surface. I promise you my surfaces are absolutely, I cleaned them all down before I started cooking, so I'm not too worried about taking little bits off. Okay, sorry, I just need a little sip of water. I've realised my nerves kind of made my mouth a little dry, but it's all calming down. It's quite a good thing. Okay. Somebody said there's no video. I don't understand why, because I can see it on my screen. Have a look and see if you want to I've had to do this as a live, so maybe the people who are trying to link into it as a watch party can't see it. But everybody else seems to be seeing it. So, hi Rosie, how are you? I see you come online as well. So my broccoli I'm not going to cut quite as fine. And now my couple of leaves are fallen on the floor. Let me just quickly give those a rinse. I washed my floors last night as well, but you don't want to have something fallen on the floor. Okay. Because it's the end of the season, some of these leaves are starting to get a little bit tough. If you're using, so I said you guys can use, cabbage, you can use broccoli. If you want to, you can even, you can use some asparagus, which you can just lightly steam. Again, green leafy vegetables are really good for your gut health. They're what they also call a prebiotic. So what does prebiotic do? A prebiotic helps feed the probiotic in your gut. And your probiotic, as one doctor that I follow he calls them your gut buddies. And basically they're good bacteria that sits in your gut and basically helps with the digestion process of your food, but it gets way bigger than that as well. But generally they're good for you. So try and eat them as much as possible. And there are loads. I really love green leafy veg, just very quickly flash fried. Okay, so Simon's going to have to move around as I move over to the stove. Okay, I'm bringing everything across. Let's see how sausages. My sausages aren't quite ready. I might actually put them into the pan just to get them a little bit browned. But in the meantime, what I will do is just get this table wiped down. Gives us a few more minutes. So kind of this is what really happens in a live class. I wander around my kitchen a lot and talk a lot. And every now and then my dog walks in and sees if she can if there's a sneaky bite going, but she knows she's not allowed here. She's normally lying on the sofa in the convenient position of head over the sofa, and seeing whether she can I've got a few people trying to call me while I'm actually here, but unfortunately I can't answer them. So I don't know, I think there's still a little confusion as to how they can actually see me live. Any case, alright, let's crack on. So I'm going to take these out of the oven for a second. I'm going to brown them up. Just keep that close up with my heat in. And let's have a look and see how they're getting on. think I'm going to just brown those up in the frying pan for a few seconds. Normally I wouldn't bother, but with you guys here I'm trying to speed the process up a little bit and find my foil. Okay. Those in so I can move that back into the oven because I can't get to my controls. That doesn't help, does it? And on we go. So I'm going to just literally get those browned up a little bit more, and then I'm going to take them to the side and we're going to make the sauce, and then we'll put the sausages back into the sauce to warm up. And in the meantime, what I can do is have a look. This is the one thing I realised I didn't take out. Here's the noise, is my wok, which I'm going to cook my veg up in. So what I can do with that in the meantime is put a bit more oil in and get that heated up. And put a little bit of the garlic that I cut up into that as well. It's all go. Is anybody actually trying to do this at the same time as me, or are you all just going to have a watch and then do it later? Just put a thing in on our laptop and then I can see. Okay. So I'll cook the garlic off lightly. We don't want to overcook the garlic. There's nothing worse than slightly burnt garlic. It just tends to be a little bit bitter, unfortunately. I'm looking outside my window and we've had such beautiful weather. I look straight out into the garden from where I'm standing. Maybe Simon can pan around and show you. And as I put on my personal Facebook page the other day, I'm really lucky that everything's coming alive. So my Banksia rose at the bottom of the garden is, I don't know if you guys can see it, is in full flower. Okay, do you want to pan back again? I've just got in. Okay, so the garlic is just starting to brown, so I'm just going to put this in. Now my timings here are going to be a little bit out. Why are you putting...
That's about the oil.
Okay.
What oil are you frying in?
I'm using olive oil. I, again, don't tend to use processed seed oils because they're really bad for the gut. And there seems to be some research that they actually help with things like the leaky gut syndrome. So I tend to use things like coconut oil, olive oil, and then I'm not scared of using butter or a bit of lard. You know, I think cooking is about, a lot of good cooking is actually about going back to basics. It's about using the same sort of ingredients that our grandparents used, or possibly even slightly before that. I think the problem nowadays is the fact that we live in a society where so much of our food is unfortunately overly processed, and that is where the problem lies. Now, I've been watching an absolutely fantastic program on Netflix called Cooked. If you guys haven't come across it, I would really, really recommend that you go and watch it. It's presented by an anthropologist. It basically goes into our relationship and the history of our relationship with food, why we started cooking in certain ways, and it just makes so much sense. It's beautifully done as well, which helps, but it's also super interesting. You know, and he talked about the history of things like bread, why we boil food, why we cook food on fire, and basically, again, I think constantly touches a fermented food. So things like alcohol come into it, but also food that actually is fermented. I never knew until last night that chocolate was a fermented food. And again, I'm sure a lot of you, if you are interested in this kind of thing, know that fermented foods are really, really good for the gut as well. They actually have probiotics in them, so they potentially help introduce certain strains of probiotics that have possibly gone missing out of our gut. And things like yogurt, kimchi, kombucha, seems like chocolate. But chocolate, be wary of chocolate. It needs to be good quality dark chocolate, at least 75%. Because, of course, a lot of the cheap chocolates have got loads of sugar in them. That's an issue. Okay, we're going to start. So I've put my sausages on the side, and now that they're brown, I'm going to actually just put them back in the oven. And we are going to start with the sauce. So our sauce, I'm going to fry up some onions. I've probably got enough fat in there, and then we'll also left over the sausages themselves would have released a bit of fat, and there's still a bit of olive oil in there. And we just want to really, we don't want to, again, want to overcook the onions. You know, I keep thinking this is a bit like Saturday Kitchen, except on Saturday Kitchen I'd have a few other people around the room sort of chatting and laughing and having a glass of wine. I know it's a little early, but seeing as you are preparing lunch, I think we're all allowed to have a little bit of wine. I'll probably pour myself a glass in a little while. Okay. Just going to let that cook off for a couple more minutes and look back on my thing. Anything else from you guys? I think I'm running a little bit behind you because I have to press the play button. Okay, I think that's enough. We're going to add the garlic. I always tend to add my garlic after my onion. Again, purely because garlic tends to burn more quickly than onion does. And one thing that we might be slightly down on our timings is our, and I'm not going to make you wait around for it, is our sweet potatoes are going to take a little bit longer. But I can always just talk you through that part. Okay. So, next step. I'm going to put the wine in. About a cupful of wine, probably a little bit less, about 175 mils is probably enough. So not a large glass as they have it in the pubs in the UK. And we're going to turn the heat up on that because I want to reduce that down slightly. It helps intensify the flavours, and we don't need as much liquid. Otherwise we'll have a real sloppy sauce. Nobody wants a sloppy sauce, do they? I've got to say thank you to my husband for very patiently filming this whole lot for me.
I'm enjoying the wine, darling.
Are you enjoying the wine? Do you want a little glass of wine, darling?
Why not?
Why not? Okay. Let's have a little glass of wine. So, I've got a bottle of... What do you want? White or red?
Whatever you got. Some white, darling, please.
Oh. He's not normally this compliant. There we go. Just a little one, because we actually, both of us, have still got things to do this afternoon.
And it's only 11:30.
And it is only 11:30, but we're going on for 12, so it's okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, my love. So normally if I had a cooking class, I'd have people crowding around me to see what's happening on the stove, or they'd be helping me with cooking, because I always tended to do them as quite sort of interactive sessions and try and get people as involved as possible. It feels quite strange being all alone in my kitchen. Well, I'm not really, because I think there are 4 or 5 people watching, and hopefully a few people will join us later.
That's true, Pam. She said it's thirsty work being part of a production team.
Has Pam managed to join us?
Yeah, I think so.
Ah! Hi Pam, glad to see you. I hope you're feeling better, my darling.
And Lorraine said it's only 10:30.
When?
Not sure.
Oh, it's probably Tina. She's in the UK, so it's only 10:30.
No, it's Lorraine.
Oh, Lorraine. Oh, she's in Scotland.
Okay.
In Edinburgh. Okay, so I'm now going to add, time to add the mustard. So for this, I mean, it really does depend on your taste. I'm using hot Dijon mustard. You can use some English mustard, or if you're not a person who likes the heat of mustard, then just use a milder mustard. You can even use, there's no reason why, you can even use a seed mustard if you want. I probably wouldn't go down the road of using sort of hamburger mustard. There we go, and then we're going to add the creme fraiche. The great thing about eating this way is, again, because one's not eating loads of carbohydrates, one can enjoy the luxury of a bit of fat in your diet. I know that a lot of people want it as, you know, sort of high carb, high fat. I wouldn't necessarily go out of your way to eat, you know, suddenly pile fat into your diet. But I use cream in my cooking, I use butter in my cooking, and I enjoy it. I'm going to turn that down, just let that simmer away. The problem is, and this is when we eat refined carbohydrates together with a lot of fats. Fats are, as they say, is one of these things that has been demonized, unfortunately. We'll just try to get that to the question a bit. I'm going to take my sausages out of the oven, and I'm going to just test and see how my sweet potato is getting on. So we're going to add the sausages to that. I mean, even because they've been in the oven largely, they eat it through. But and there's a bit of sauce that again has, and I'm going to add that because it's just going to help add flavour. And Tina, when I saw your thing, I was like, I saw you asking, can I use queen sausages? I looked alike, couldn't find out what a queen sausage was. I was sitting there going, it's really embarrassing, it's a queen sausage. But I saw you later, you had changed it, and it was a corn sausage. And yes, as I said, absolutely no problem. There's no reason why this can't be a vegetarian dish. Obviously not vegan, but I suppose if you're a vegan, there's absolutely no reason why you can't use coconut cream. It'll change the flavour slightly, you know, you'll get that slight sort of coconutty flavour, but it's completely possible. Okay, now I'm going to go into the oven and have a look and see how my sweet potatoes are getting on. You know, ooh, a little bit of smoke in there. Hey, couple more minutes, I think. But I think I'm going to give them a go. Just purely because I want to try and keep this as succinct as possible. So I would say again, test your sweet potatoes. If yours aren't quite ready yet, just let them go for a few more minutes. You don't have this pressure of a camera on you. I'm joking. Okay, and I'm going to transfer these into a saucepan. You know, I realised that I poured a glass of wine and I have had a sip. I can see the slide. I think my husband's enjoying more than I am. Again, we would normally be a little bit more enthusiastic about the amount of potatoes that we have, but we're keeping them. I did a shop yesterday, and I might have to, because I'm doing this on the little business site tomorrow. I'm hoping I can just record this, save this, and actually stream it tomorrow rather than doing it as a live, so I don't have to do it twice. In case I do, I'm trying to make my ingredients go further. So I'm going to add...
Pam said the video stopped. Has the video stopped, everybody, or is it still running? Ah, you're back. Okay, thanks.
I'm back. Okay, it's obviously just us streaming. It's everybody on Netflix. So...
That's where we'll be next week.
This is my potato masher. Unfortunately, the handle broke off and I haven't been able to find another one. But it still works. Yeah, I mean, my potatoes could have done with a few seconds, probably a few seconds longer, but in the great scheme of things, that worked quite well. So I put a dollop of butter into this, and
We're still running.
it's rather noisy. And I am going to add a little bit of dried chili. Now, if you're not a chili fan, there's all sorts of things. Cumin works really well in this as well. And if I had access to it, I would actually put a bit of fresh coriander in as well. It's really, really lovely. I think I got that idea years ago from a Jamie Oliver meal that I did, but...
Is that with Jamie?
No, Jamie didn't participate in this particular dream. Okay, so after a lot of noise, we are ready to dish. I'm going to give my green vegetables just a couple of seconds back on the heat. Just so that those will keep, just to warm them through slightly. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt to them as well, which I didn't do while I was cooking. Another way that you can do, which works quite well, is actually putting a bit of soy sauce in, but you need to don't be too generous because soy sauce can be super salty, even though I quite like my salt. Okay, let's find a plate. And then I suppose one should end with the plating up. So if Simon wants to come round, I will dish this. I finished a little early. I could have probably started a little later, but I was 100% sure of my timings. So a nice generous dollop of mash. My couple of sausages. And Pam, as you've joined us a little late, you asked whether you could use merguez, and I see absolutely no reason why merguez wouldn't work. I'm going to put the sauce around the side and add our green leafy vegetables. So I think it's it's comfort meal. You know, at a time where Millie, coming out of the kitchen, you know, regular as clockwork, she can smell the fact that the food is on the table. But this is real comfort food, you know, and on a slightly grey day like today, and I think the way we're all feeling at the moment, we kind of need as much comfort as possible. But in any case, everyone, I'm going to try and do these little things. Some of them will be shorter, some of them will be longer on a regular basis, probably once a week, if not slightly more than that. And if you want a bit more information generally about cooking, come and join either my Facebook or Instagram page, the Courtyard Kitchen. I'll put links below. And if you're more interested in the sort of nutritional and health coaching side, come check me out on my Back on Track Facebook page. In any case, enjoy your lunch. Cheers and love to you all.